The envelope was cream-colored, expensive, the kind of paper that whispered money when you touched it. I stared at it sitting on my kitchen counter, my coffee growing cold in my hand, and felt my stomach twist into knots. Another Montgomery family brunch invitation. Another opportunity to be told I wasn't good enough. My name is Ashley Carter, well, Ashley Montgomery now, though Catherine, my mother-in-law, refused to acknowledge that last name attached to me. I was 28 years old, worked as a senior financial analyst at Preston & Associates, and I'd been married to Mark Montgomery for exactly 1 year and 4 months. From the outside, my life probably looked perfect. Handsome husband from a wealthy family, nice apartment in the city, good job, decent car. From the inside, I was suffocating. The smell of burnt toast hung in the air, acrid and bitter, because I'd forgotten about breakfast while staring at that damn envelope. Mark had already left for his morning run, like he did every Saturday, leaving me alone to deal with his mother's summons. That's what these invitations really were. Summons. Commands disguised as polite requests. I picked up the envelope, felt the heavy weight of it, and something inside me cracked. Not broke. Not yet. Just cracked, like ice on a frozen lake when the temperature starts to rise. Before I go further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I like to know how far my stories are reaching, and a like and subscribe means a lot to small channels like ours and will keep these stories coming. Now let's continue. It started the day Mark brought me home to meet his family. I should have seen the warning signs then, but I was in love, stupid and blind with it. We'd been dating for 8 months, and he'd been putting off the introduction, always with some excuse. His mother was traveling. His father was busy with work. The timing wasn't right. Finally, he'd run out of excuses. I'd worn my best dress, brought an expensive bottle of wine I'd researched for hours, practiced my smile in the mirror. My hands had been shaking when we pulled up to the Montgomery estate, this massive colonial mansion in Westchester with actual columns and a circular driveway. My father was a mechanic. We'd lived in a 2-bedroom house with vinyl siding. I'd never seen anything like the Montgomery home except in movies. Catherine Montgomery had opened the door herself, which I later learned was unusual. They had staff for that. But she'd wanted to size me up personally, wanted that first look to be hers alone. I remember the way her eyes had traveled over me, from my department store heels to my carefully styled hair, and the tiny smile that had touched her lips. Not warm. Not welcoming. Amused. Like someone watching a child play dress-up in adult clothes. "So you're Ashley," she'd said, not a question, barely an acknowledgement. "Mark's told us so little about you." The emphasis on little had been subtle but sharp, a paper cut disguised as a handshake. That dinner had been 3 hours of careful torture. Richard Montgomery, Mark's father, had interrogated me about my background, my education, my family, each question designed to highlight everything I wasn't. Veronica, Mark's younger sister, had sat across from me with this pitying expression, like I was a stray dog Mark had dragged home. And Mark had sat there, eating his prime rib, occasionally squeezing my hand under the table like that was enough. Like silent support was the same as actual defense. I'd gone home that night and cried in the shower for an hour. But I'd loved Mark. And I'd convinced myself that his family would come around, that I could win them over with time and effort and persistence. I was so goddamn naive. The coffee had gone completely cold now. I dumped it in the sink and stared out the window at the city below, watching people move through their Saturday mornings, free and unburdened by in-laws who treated them like dirt on expensive shoes. My phone buzzed. A text from Catherine. "Ashley, I trust you received the brunch invitation. 11 o'clock sharp. Wear something appropriate. And please, do something with your hair." My hands clenched around the phone. The screen protested under my grip, and I forced myself to relax before I cracked it. I'd already replaced this phone once after a particularly brutal family dinner where Catherine had spent 2 hours criticizing my career choices, suggesting that maybe I should focus on supporting Mark properly instead of playing office worker. I'd squeezed my phone so hard during dessert that the screen had spiderwebbed under my fingers. Mark had made me apologize for leaving early that night. To his mother. For being upset. That should have been my sign to run. Another text came through. Veronica this time. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, Em. Mom's planned something special. Dress code is business casual, but like, nice business casual, you know? Not your usual work clothes. Hugs and kisses. The passive aggression was so thick I could taste it, bitter and metallic like blood. I walked to my bedroom, opened my closet, and stared at the clothes hanging there. Half of them I'd bought specifically for Montgomery family events, trying to fit their impossible standards. Conservative but stylish. Expensive but not trying too hard. Classic but current. An entire wardrobe designed to make me acceptable to people who had decided from day one that I would never be good enough. The crack inside me spread a little wider. I grabbed my laptop and sat on the bed, suddenly needing to do something, anything, to feel in control. I opened my work files, scrolled through current projects, let the familiar numbers and spreadsheets calm my racing thoughts. This was something I was good at. Something where my community college degree and state school bachelor's didn't matter. Where my father's profession was irrelevant. Where I was valued for what I could do, not who my family was. My eyes caught on a particular file. The Morrison merger. I'd been working on it for 6 months, analyzing every aspect of the deal. It was huge, worth millions, and my boss Amanda had trusted me with the financial projections. And there, buried in the subsidiary information, was a name that made me go completely still. Montgomery Holdings. Richard Montgomery's company. I clicked deeper into the files, my heart starting to pound. Montgomery Holdings was a minority investor in Morrison Corp., which meant Richard would be affected by this merger. Which meant he'd have access to certain information. Which meant... My phone rang, making me jump. Mark's photo filled the screen, the picture I'd taken of him on our honeymoon, all smiles and sunshine, back when I'd still believed this marriage could work. I answered. Hey. Em, what time should I be back? Mom wants us there early tomorrow to help set up, and I figured. I'm not going. Silence. Complete and total silence, so thick I could feel it pressing through the phone. What? His voice had changed, gone tight and careful. I'm not going to brunch tomorrow. I'm not going to any more Montgomery family events. Ashley. That tone. The one that said I was being difficult, unreasonable, embarrassing. We talked about this. Family is important to me. I need you to make an effort. The crack became a split, clean and decisive. I've been making an effort for over a year, Mark. I've been insulted, belittled, and humiliated. Your mother has made it crystal clear that I'm not welcome in your family. So I'm done trying. You're being dramatic. Mom's just particular. She'll warm up to you if I what, Mark? If I lose more weight, change my hair, quit my job, stop existing as myself. He sighed, that long-suffering sound that made me want to scream. This is why she gets frustrated with you, Em. You take everything so personally. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From rage. From relief. From something wild and powerful unfurling in my chest. My phone immediately started ringing again. Mark. I declined the call. He called back. Declined. Again. Declined. Then a text from Catherine. Mark tells me you're refusing to attend brunch. This is exactly the kind of selfish behavior I've come to expect from you. Another from Veronica. Seriously, Ashley? You're going to embarrass Mark like this? And finally, The one that changed everything, the one that lit the fuse. Catherine again. Let me make this simple for you, Ashley. Stay away from this family. You are not welcome. You are not wanted. You are an embarrassment to the Montgomery name. Do not call. Do not text. Do not appear at family events. Mark deserves better than you, and eventually he will realize that. Do everyone a favor and disappear from our lives. I read it 3 times, each word sinking in like a stone. Then I smiled. They wanted me gone? Fine. I'd give them exactly what they asked for. I'd disappear. But I wouldn't go quietly. I opened my laptop again, pulled up the Morrison merger files, and started cross-referencing dates and transactions. My father had taught me something important when I was young. Baby girl, when someone pushes you down, you have 2 choices. Stay down, or get up swinging. And Carters? We swing hard. My phone buzzed one more time. Amanda, my boss. Ashley, emergency. Call me immediately. It's about the Morrison deal. My blood went cold. Because suddenly, I knew exactly what I was looking at in these files. And if I was right, Richard Montgomery hadn't just been investing in Morrison Corp. He'd been committing securities fraud. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone when I called Amanda back. The numbers on my laptop screen blurred together, columns of transactions that told a story I couldn't believe I was seeing. Outside my window, storm clouds had rolled in, turning the Saturday afternoon dark and heavy with the promise of rain. Amanda, I said when she picked up, my voice barely steady. I'm looking at the files now. Then you see it. Her voice was tight, controlled, the way it got when she was furious but trying to stay professional. Ashley, this is bad. Really bad. We need to meet. Now. My office in 30 minutes. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there, staring at the evidence on my screen. Richard Montgomery had been trading Morrison Corp stock for the past 4 months, small transactions carefully spaced out, nothing that would trigger immediate red flags. But he'd been doing it based on insider information about the merger, information he shouldn't have had access to yet. The timing was too perfect, too precise. He'd bought low right before positive merger news leaked, sold high right before complications arose. It was textbook insider trading. And if I reported it, if I blew the whistle on this, I wouldn't just be going against my father-in-law. I'd be destroying the entire Montgomery family. The thought should have scared me. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Something cold and clear and powerful. Catherine's text sat on my phone screen like a brand. Do everyone a favor and disappear from our lives. Careful what you wish for, I whispered to the empty apartment. I grabbed my bag, threw on a jacket, and headed for the door. Mark would be home soon from his run, full of apologies and explanations and promises that his mother didn't mean it, that I was overreacting, that family was complicated. The same script we'd performed a dozen times before. But this time, the script was going to change. Thunder rumbled in the distance as I drove to Amanda's office, fat raindrops starting to splatter against my windshield. The city looked gray and washed out, reflecting exactly how I felt inside. Hollowed out. Scraped clean. Ready to be filled with something new. Amanda was waiting in her office when I arrived, still in weekend clothes, her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy bun. 2 other people sat at her conference table. Marcus Chen from legal, and someone I didn't recognize, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an FBI badge clipped to her belt. My stomach dropped. Ashley Carter, Amanda said, using my maiden name deliberately. This is Special Agent Patricia Reeves. She's been investigating irregular trading patterns connected to the Morrison merger. Agent Reeves stood, extended her hand. Her grip was firm, assessing. Ms. Carter, thank you for coming in on a Saturday. I understand you're the lead analyst on this deal. I nodded, not trusting my voice. And I understand, Reeves continued, her eyes never leaving mine, that you're married to Mark Montgomery, Richard Montgomery's son. The room felt too small suddenly, the walls pressing in. Rain lashed against the windows now, coming down in sheets, the sound almost deafening. I managed. But I didn't know. I swear, I had no idea what Richard was doing until I looked at the files an hour ago. Walk me through what you found. I sat down, opened my laptop, and laid it all out. Every transaction, every date, every suspicious timing. Marcus took notes. Amanda watched me with an expression I couldn't read. And Agent Reeves listened, occasionally asking questions that were sharp and precise, designed to test whether I was complicit or innocent. These files, Reeves said when I finished, were you authorized to access them? Yes. I'm the senior analyst. I have full access to all merger documentation. And your husband, does he have access to your work files? My throat tightened. No. I keep my work laptop password protected. I never discuss confidential deals at home. Never. Her eyebrow raised. Not even in general terms? I thought back to all those dinners, all those family events where Richard had casually asked about my work, where Catherine had dismissed my career as unimportant, where Veronica had made jokes about me playing with spreadsheets. And Mark, always encouraging me to be more open with his family, to share more, to let them in. Mark knew I was working on a major merger, I said slowly. But I never mentioned Morrison Corp by name. I never discussed details. Could he have accessed your laptop without your knowledge? The question hit me like a physical blow. I thought about all the mornings Mark woke before me, all the times he'd been alone in our apartment while I was at work, all the nights I'd fallen asleep with my laptop on the bed beside me. I don't know, I whispered. Reeves leaned back, studying me. Ms. Carter, I'm going to be direct with you. We've been building a case against Richard Montgomery for 3 months. But we've been missing a key piece, proof of exactly how he was getting his information. Your analysis just filled in that gap. What happens now? Now, we need to determine whether you're a witness or an accomplice. The room spun. I'm not, I would never, I didn't know anything about this until today. Which is why you called your boss immediately when you discovered the irregularities, Marcus interjected, his voice calm. Which is documented. Which helps your case considerably. Agent Reeves nodded slowly. Here's the situation, Ashley. If you cooperate fully with our investigation, provide testimony, and help us understand the Montgomery family dynamics and any conversations you may have overheard, we can protect you. But you need to understand what you're walking into. This will destroy your marriage. It will make you a target. The Montgomerys have money and lawyers and influence. They already hate me, I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. His mother told me today to disappear from their lives. She said I was an embarrassment, that I wasn't wanted or welcome. Something flickered across Reeves' face. Do you have that in writing? I pulled out my phone, showed her Catherine's text messages. All of them. Months' worth of insults and demands and cruelty, documented in neat little blue and gray bubbles. Reeves actually smiled. Ms. Carter, would you be willing to wear a wire? My heart stopped. What? The Montgomerys expect you at brunch tomorrow, correct? Even though Catherine told you to stay away, if you showed up, apologetic and compliant, they'd let you in. And if you were wearing a recording device, anything Richard or Catherine said about the Morrison deal, about stock transactions, about information sources, that would be admissible evidence. You want me to spy on my husband's family. I want you to help us stop a criminal who's been manipulating markets and stealing from honest investors for years. Reeves leaned forward. Richard Montgomery isn't just trading on insider information, Ashley. He's part of a larger network. This merger is the thread that unravels everything. But we need someone on the inside. Thunder cracked overhead, so loud the windows rattled. I thought about Catherine's face when she'd called me an embarrassment, Richard's dismissive looks, Veronica's constant jabs, Mark's endless excuses and his refusal to ever defend me. And I thought about my father, working 60-hour weeks in his garage, hands perpetually stained with grease, who'd never cheated anyone in his life, who'd taught me that integrity mattered more than money. If I do this, I said slowly, I want immunity in writing, full protection, and I want my name kept out of the initial press reports. Done, Reeves said immediately. And when this is over, when Richard is arrested and the case is public, I want one thing more. What's that? I smiled, and it felt sharp and dangerous. I want to be the one who tells Catherine that her precious family empire is crumbling. I want her to know it was me, the embarrassment, the girl who wasn't good enough. I want her to know I destroyed everything she cared about. Amanda inhaled sharply. Marcus looked shocked. But Agent Reeves laughed, a short bark of approval. Ms. Carter, I think we're going to work very well together. My phone buzzed. Mark calling again. Then a text. Please. Come home. We need to talk. Mom didn't mean what she said. She's just stressed. Please. I showed Reeves the message. Perfect, she said. Text him back. Tell him you're sorry, you overreacted. You'll go to brunch tomorrow. Play the part they expect. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was it. The moment everything changed. The moment I stopped being the victim and became something else entirely. I typed, "You're right. I'm sorry. I'll be there tomorrow. Tell your mother I apologize for my behavior." Sent. Good, Reeves said. Now let's prep you for tomorrow. Because Ashley, when you walk into that brunch, you're not going as Mark's inappropriate wife anymore. You're going as a federal witness. And we're going to bring the Montgomerys down. Outside, lightning split the sky, illuminating the office in harsh white light. And somewhere in Westchester, in their massive colonial mansion, the Montgomery family had no idea that the girl they'd tried to break was about to break them instead. My phone buzzed one more time. Catherine, Mark told me you're coming tomorrow. See that you dress appropriately. And Ashley, this is your last chance to prove you can be a Montgomery. Don't waste it. I smiled at the screen, cold and certain. Oh, Catherine, I whispered. I'm going to prove something tomorrow. Just not what you think. The wire was smaller than I expected, a tiny microphone taped between my breasts, the transmitter hidden in the waistband of my carefully chosen skirt. Agent Reeves had fitted me with it in a parking lot 2 blocks from the Montgomery estate, her movements quick and professional while I tried to keep my breathing steady. You're going to be fine, she'd said, adjusting the device. We'll be listening to everything. If you feel unsafe at any point, say the phrase, "I need some air," and we'll extract you immediately. Understand? I'd nodded, not trusting my voice. That was 20 minutes ago. Now I stood on the Montgomery's front steps, my hand raised to ring the doorbell, rain from last night still dripping from the eaves. The morning was crisp and clear, everything washed clean by the storm, and I felt like I was standing outside my own body, watching some other Ashley press that button and hear the chimes echo inside. Catherine opened the door herself again. She was wearing cream-colored slacks and a silk blouse that probably cost more than my monthly salary, her hair perfect, her makeup flawless. Her eyes traveled over my outfit, a conservative navy dress and pearls I'd borrowed from Amanda, and something like approval flickered across her face. "Ashley," she said, her voice cool but not hostile. "You're early. How surprising." "I wanted to help set up," I said, keeping my voice meek, apologetic. "And I wanted to apologize properly for yesterday. I was out of line." She studied me for a long moment, and I wondered if she could somehow sense the wire, if she could hear my heart hammering against my ribs. Then she stepped aside. "Come in." The others are in the dining room. I walked into the house that had always felt like a museum, all marble and expensive art and furniture you weren't supposed to actually sit on. My heels clicked on the floor, each step feeling like walking toward an execution. Except this time, I wasn't the one being executed. Mark appeared from the dining room, relief flooding his face. I'm so glad you came. He kissed my cheek, and I had to force myself not to pull away. You look beautiful. Thank you, I managed. Richard emerged behind him, tall and distinguished in a polo shirt and slacks, reading glasses perched on his nose. He nodded at me, the most acknowledgement I'd gotten from him in months. Ashley, Mark said you had a change of heart. Family is important, I said, the words tasting like ash. I shouldn't have let my feelings get in the way of that. Something shifted in Richard's expression, a calculation happening behind his eyes. Well, I'm pleased you've come to your senses. Actually, your timing is fortuitous. I wanted to ask you something about your work. Every muscle in my body tensed. Agent Reeves' voice echoed in my head from the briefing. Let him bring it up. Don't push. Just listen and respond naturally. Oh, I said. The Morrison merger, Richard continued, gesturing for me to follow him toward his study. I have some investments that might be affected. Nothing major, just curious about the timeline. When does your firm expect the deal to close? Catherine's voice cut in from behind us. Richard, business talk can wait. Ashley came to help with brunch, didn't you, dear? The sweetness in her voice was poisonous, and I recognized the game. She wanted me in the kitchen, playing servant, staying in my place. But Richard's question about Morrison was exactly what we needed. I don't mind, I said carefully. Though I should mention, I'm not supposed to discuss confidential client information. Richard laughed, a warm sound that would have seemed genuine to anyone who didn't know what he was really asking. Of course, of course. Professional ethics. I respect that. But surely between family, general timelines aren't classified. Richard. Catherine's voice had steel in it now. Let the girl breathe. She just arrived. And suddenly I understood. Catherine didn't know. She had no idea what Richard was doing, had no idea her husband was committing federal crimes. She was just being her usual controlling self, asserting dominance, keeping me in my place. The realization hit me like cold water. If I went through with this, if I helped the FBI bring Richard down, Catherine would be a victim too. Collateral damage. For half a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered every insult, every dismissive look, every cruel comment. The sympathy evaporated. Actually, I said, looking at Richard, I think I can discuss general timelines. The deal should close within 60 days, barring any regulatory complications. His eyes lit up. 60 days. And have there been any complications? Any delays? Richard. Veronica swept in, her engagement ring catching the light, Preston trailing behind her looking uncomfortable in a button-down shirt. Stop monopolizing Ashley. I want to tell her about the wedding plans. The next hour was torture. We sat in the dining room, picking at expensive food I couldn't taste, while Veronica rattled on about flower arrangements and venue options and dress designers. Catherine interjected with opinions and corrections. Preston sat quietly, occasionally catching my eye with what looked like sympathy. And Mark kept his hand on my knee under the table, squeezing periodically, like he was proud of me for playing along. I smiled and nodded and complimented Veronica's choices, all while the wire pressed against my skin and Agent Reeves listened to everything. Richard had disappeared halfway through brunch, claiming he had calls to make. I knew he was probably trading, making moves based on the timeline I'd just confirmed. The FBI would track every transaction, build their case with each illegal trade. Finally, Catherine stood. Ashley, help me clear the table. It wasn't a request. I followed her into the kitchen, stacking plates while she rinsed them with sharp, efficient movements. For several minutes, we worked in silence. Then she spoke, her voice low. "I meant what I said yesterday." I froze. "You're not good enough for this family. You're not good enough for my son. But Mark seems attached to you, for reasons I cannot fathom, so I'm willing to tolerate your presence if you understand your place." The wire was recording every word. Agent Reeves was hearing this. And something inside me, the last piece that had been holding back, finally shattered. "My place," I repeated softly. "Below us," Catherine said simply, turning to face me. "You come from nothing. You are nothing. But if you're appropriately grateful and sufficiently subservient, we can coexist. Do you understand?" I met her eyes, and I smiled. "I understand perfectly, Catherine." "Good. Then we won't have any more dramatic outbursts or—" Richard burst into the kitchen, his phone in his hand, his face pale. "Catherine, we need to talk. Now." "What's wrong?" "Not here." His eyes flicked to me, suspicious suddenly. "Privately." But it was too late. Through the window, I could see black SUVs pulling into the circular driveway. Agent Reeves stepped out of the first one, her badge visible, 3 other agents behind her. The doorbell rang. Catherine's face went white. "What is this?" "Richard, what did you do?" Mark appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Mom? Dad? There are FBI agents at the door." I set down the plate I was holding very carefully. "I can explain." Everyone turned to look at me. "Ashley." Mark's voice was confused, hurt. "What's happening?" Agent Reeves' voice came from the front door, loud and official. "Richard Montgomery, this is the FBI. We have a warrant for your arrest." Catherine grabbed the counter, her knuckles white. "No. No, this is a mistake. Richard." But Richard was staring at me, understanding dawning on his face. You're the leak." "I'm not a leak," I said clearly, reaching up to remove the wire from under my dress, holding the small device up so they could all see it. "I'm a witness to securities fraud, insider trading, and market manipulation." Mark's face crumbled. What did you do?" "What you and your family taught me to do," I said, and my voice was steady now, cold and clear. "I played the game. I just played it better than you expected." Catherine lunged at me, her hand raised, and for a moment I thought she was actually going to strike me. But she stopped, trembling with rage, her perfect composure finally cracking. "You vindictive little bitch," she hissed. "I will destroy you for this." "You already tried," I said. "You told me I was nothing, that I didn't belong, that I should disappear. So I did what you asked. I disappeared from your family. But I didn't go quietly." Agent Reeves appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Ms. Carter, we'll need you to come with us for your official statement. Mr. Montgomery, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent." The next few minutes were chaos. Richard was handcuffed, read his rights, led away. Catherine was screaming about lawyers and lawsuits and mistakes. Veronica was crying. Preston looked horrified. And Mark just stood there, staring at me like he'd never seen me before. "How could you?" he whispered. "How could I what? Tell the truth? Follow the law? Refuse to let your father steal from innocent people?" I picked up my purse, looked at him one last time. "Your mother asked me yesterday how I could be so selfish. But the real question, Mark, is how could you be so blind? I begged you for a year to stand up for me, to defend me, to choose me. And you never did. Not once." "I love you," he said, and he actually sounded like he believed it. "No, you don't. You love the idea of a wife who fits into your family's perfect picture. But that was never me. And I'm done trying to be her. I walked out of the kitchen, through the dining room where our brunch plates still sat half full, past the expensive art and the marble floors and the life I'd tried so hard to be part of. Agent Reeves was waiting by the door. "You did good, Carter. It's not over yet, is it? The arrest is just the beginning. Trial, testimony, media coverage. It's going to get ugly." I looked back at the house, at Catherine's perfect facade literally crumbling as FBI agents searched rooms and seized computers, at Mark standing in the doorway, looking lost and small. "Let it get ugly," I said. "I'm not afraid anymore." 3 months later, I sat in a coffee shop across from my lawyer, signing the final divorce papers. Richard was awaiting trial, out on bail but facing 20 years. The media had torn the Montgomery family apart, exposing not just the fraud but years of tax evasion and shady business deals. Catherine had filed for divorce. Veronica's engagement had ended when Preston's family decided the Montgomery name was too toxic. And me. I'd been promoted at work, found an apartment of my own, started therapy, reconnected with my father, who'd told me he was proud of me for doing the right thing even when it was hard. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Catherine. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back. "You destroyed yourself the moment you decided I wasn't good enough." I just held up the mirror. And yes, Catherine, I am happy. For the first time in years, I'm happy. I blocked the number, finished my coffee, and walked out into the sunshine. Behind me, the Montgomery Empire was ashes. But ahead of me was everything.